Hi, I'm Barbara Kris.
And I'm Clarissa,
We're two friends, entrepreneurs, and experts in our field.
joining forces and talking all about life, business, tools for success, and more.
So, without further ado, here's to Dope Women. Hello and welcome to Here's to Dope Women. We've got a great episode for you today. We are going to talk about habits, how to form good ones, and then how to drop the ones that you just don't really want to be dealing with anymore. I am Barbara Kris. For those of you who are first or seeing this episode for the first time or seeing this show for the first time, I am a nutritionist and weight loss coach. And you can see here, I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Miss Clarissa. She is a hairstylist. She has her own salon in Thousand Oaks, California. And you guys, we're going to lay it out for you today when it comes to habits. And we're going to share with you some of the bad ones that we have and what we did to drop those things.
Yes.
Welcome, lady. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. We were just laughing because we were like, it's like we haven't seen each other in so long. And I swear, if
No.
I don't see you in like every other day or something, I feel like it's been forever.
I know. I still have your birthday present. It was Barbara's birthday last week.
No,
The
the
week before
third.
that.
So yeah, almost. Oh my God. See how fast
Oh,
time goes.
I
I know.
know.
And I was supposed to go down there and kind of with the rain, the typical California thing, right? We just
Right?
flake out when it rains.
We can't drive in it. Nope.
We can't.
Can't go anywhere
No,
today.
yeah, can't drive in it. But all right, so habits. Okay, well, I just kind of wanted to look up here. I have got my notes. We're going to talk about all this, and the thing with habits is that we talk about how the things that you do repeatedly kind of define you. Right. And if you think about it that way, it's like, wow, all those little habits, all those little things that we do day in and day out and what they do to define us. When you think about habits, Clarissa, like what comes to mind for you as far as maybe some of the best habits that you have right now?
Okay, so I would say probably the best habits that I think I have, I think center around more just setting myself up for my future self, I guess. And
Hmm.
it's like when I say future self, I mean like my future self is in like myself later on today or
Yeah.
myself, tomorrow. So like, say like I'm cooking dinner, I always make sure that I clean up the entire kitchen. Like it's like a thing. Like my kitchen gets so dirty whenever I clean because it's just like I always like complain about how much like countertop space I have, right?
Hmm.
But it's like because it's like if you have a smaller kitchen, you're kind of cleaning as you're going, but it's like if this countertop is dirty, then I just move on to the next one. And then by the time that I'm done even just cooking a simple meal, my entire kitchen is just like filthy,
Yeah.
every single countertop. So it's like even though it takes me a long time to clean up, I'm like, I have to do this because I want to set myself up for tomorrow. I do not want to come in here tomorrow morning with a bunch of dirty dishes in the sink and a bunch of
Hmm.
stuff out. I just want to start my day off with a clean kitchen. Walking in the kitchen, the first thing I do when I get up is I go and I get myself some coffee. Well, I
Hmm.
take my dog outside, but I go and I get myself some coffee. I don't want to go in my kitchen and like it's all dirty and I don't want to start my day like that. So I always make sure that I clean my kitchen. At least the dishes are in the dishwasher, right? Just like out of
Yeah.
sight. Same thing when I walk into the salon. It's kind of funny because it's like when I first, I started there, I was working at a 14 chair salon before I had my little two-seater salon.
Hmm.
Um, and it's kind of funny because when I started working there, it was like I was working by myself. I literally just got someone who is renting out my other chair just like a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago.
Hmm.
And it's funny because when I went there though, for the first time, for the first 2 years that I was there, it was funny because I was realizing that I was cleaning up after myself so much that it's like I was cleaning up after myself as if someone else was working there.
Right.
And I knew that I was doing it, but it's not like I knew that I was doing it. And then I was like, I don't have to. Like, I actually still kept up with that habit
Hmm.
because I wanted to, because, I want to be able to walk into the salon tomorrow and have it be clean and fresh and ready for the day.
Hmm.
It was almost like I was cleaning up after myself and I was making the salon so clean, almost as if someone else was coming into work and
Yeah.
needed to make it presentable. So it's like, it's actually more important to do that for yourself too. Like, I mean, yes, it's important to do that for other people, but I was doing that. I made sure that I kept up with that habit that I took from, working at a big salon. I made sure that I took that and, kept that for myself at my salon. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think just kind of doing those little things to kind of help pick up after yourself is,
Hmm.
pick up after yourself, but setting yourself up for the future you. So those are the type of things that I like to do. I'm not
Yeah.
like I don't get up at friggin' 6 a.m. Like I don't get up and work out for an hour. Like I don't do those types of things. Not to say that I'm not that type of person, because I could be, and
Hmm.
maybe I want to be, and
Hmm.
maybe I should be. But yeah, that's the type of habits that I like to do.
Yeah. You know what I think is really interesting about that answer is I think that a lot of times when people talk about, healthy habits or good habits or whatever, we tend to think about stuff like that, right? Do you work out at 6 a.m.? Are you like meal prepping all the time? But really habits, when you think about it, it's a system that we all have that really set us up, like you said, for success, right? So a lot of times when I think about habits and I share with my clients, my nutrition clients, when they form habits, it's like it takes the brain out of it, right? Like the decision making out of it. It becomes to the point where if you've adopted this habit, it becomes second nature, right? You just kind of do it without even thinking, like brushing your teeth, or maybe it's washing your face, things like that at night. Or for you, right? It's like you get to the salon and you do certain things. It's like you don't have to think about it. You just do it because it's helped you just be successful in your day to day, operation. And when I think about habits again with my clients, I like to tell them, I said, this is why, doing things, even if it's just trying every day, not even being perfect, but you're trying to implement these, let's say, new changes, new tweaks to your routine, that trying every day, it's like a workout. You're like kind of like working out that muscle memory, getting used to it, feeling comfortable with this new habit to the point where, after a certain amount of time, it becomes like just a part of your day-to-day routine. You don't have to think about it anymore. And so habits, like you're saying, habits can actually be something that just kind of help you, kind of set you up for success for whether it's that day or the next day. Like I think there's like a funny one that I actually a habit that I do, especially when I know I've been struggling with, let's say, the whole 6 a.m. workout, is I put up my workout clothes the night before. I put it out, out on my dresser, and so even that little difference of taking the clothes out and instead of leaving them in the drawer, but I put them out and they're right there visually in front of me, that for me sets me up for success, that I will get up when it's cold and put those damn leggings on and get out and do like a workout when I know that when it's especially like early in the morning, it's cold. I'm like, I don't even want to freaking get out. But if I know those clothes are waiting for me right there, it's not as hard. I'm like, okay, I'll get my ass up. I'll go do it. I'll go do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that definitely if you're trying to get into a new habit, making it convenient is
Mm-hmm.
a big thing, right? If you want to work out in the morning, putting out those
Yep.
clothes, right? If you want to drink more water, put a water
Mm-hmm.
jug next to your bed or something, or next to the coffee maker in the morning, or next to your purse so that you don't
Mm-hmm.
forget it before you go to work. Like because it's like, you're not going to, like, if you make it harder on yourself, you're not going to do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's already, you're already almost hitting a resistance as you're building that habit, like of
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I don't want to. But if
Yeah.
you make it a little bit easier for yourself, it's like, that's like, it really, really helps for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be like I'm going to go back to the whole nutrition thing, back to the food thing. Many times with my clients and even with myself, I will tell you this, when I have a refrigerator, it doesn't have to be fully stocked, but it just has to have some of the basics in there for the things that I like the most, whether it's like certain kinds of fruit when I have a sweet tooth, or, certain kinds of, proteins that I just really go to. If I have my refrigerator, my pantry has good enough, options there for me, it is a lot more likely that I'm going to choose the things that are more conducive to my health and, weight goals, things like that, than if I didn't have those things. And on a day that I'm stressed and I'm busy and my pantry's bare or whatever, and I'm hungry, yeah, just like everybody else, you're going to go rummaging through there. And if I find whatever the most tasty, easy thing to eat is, like you said, convenient, if it's there, like if those freaking Thin Mint, I chocolates I was just telling you about, those chocolate mint little heaven bites or whatever, if I
Yeah.
had that in there, yeah, I would want to eat the whole damn box.
Yeah.
But so being prepared and kind of thinking ahead is a huge thing for establishing, new habits, especially, right? Making it convenient and easy as possible for you.
Yeah. So besides getting up and working out in the morning, what are some other like good habits that you feel like you have to do, right? Because it's like habits almost are things that it's almost like an OCD thing. Like before you leave the house, you're like, no, I have to do this because it's such a habit. Like, do you
Oh
have
man.
any habits like that?
Okay, so morning habit, and this is something that I would say is more a recent habit. I've kind of upgraded my morning routine. And I've done it because of a couple things. I've done it because as an entrepreneur, I think sometimes we need like that that cheering section to keep us going.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate, I've got like great people that surround me, you included, right? To kind of help me be motivated. But there are times when it's like, you feel like you're just in the fight, alone. And a lot of times it's just in your head. And so I've implemented the high five habit. And so for me, that's one of the things that I've been really working on implementing. And so we might have talked about it in previous episodes, but the high five habit is done in the morning. It's kind of like you look yourself in the mirror. You kind of say something positive about yourself, like, you're a kick-ass coach, BK. I give myself a high five in the mirror, like you do, Clarissa, you wipe the mirror afterwards
Yeah.
because the fingerprints. But it's something that I've done. That I get up. Will get up. Of course, I do love my coffee, but another thing is I will drink a glass of water before I have a cup of coffee. That's one. And it's kind of like this whole series of things that I do. I get up, have some water, cup of coffee. And that's usually when I'm grabbing my clothes to put on as I work out. And then when I'm, in my mirror, usually it's about the time I'm going to brush my teeth too. That's kind of how I tied it in. Is I do the whole high five habit, and it's been really helping me. It's been helping me feel just like, I don't know, proud of myself. And on days when maybe it's a little bit more of a struggle and I do that, it's just enough to get me through that day when I need it. So that's been something that I really enjoy. I've enjoyed doing, and I feel like it's actually helped, just my whole mindset too. So I don't know. What about you?
Nice. I
Do
love
you do
that.
that? Do you do the high five?
You know what? I was doing the high five habit and then I stopped. I really need to get back into it because I did kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I did it for like long enough to really see the results, right? Like
Like the
however
face.
long, yeah. Like I'm not, I mean, yeah, I think I did it for like a week, maybe.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
then
I definitely need to get back on
yeah.
doing
Okay,
it.
so speaking of that, speaking of how long it takes to form a habit, you might have heard this already, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How long, actually, no, I'll ask you in this form. How long do you think most people, or what do you think most people would say, how long it takes for a habit to form? What is the most common amount of time that you've heard it
I've
takes
heard
for?
it was like 21 days,
Yeah,
but I know
21
that's not
days.
true anymore.
Yeah, so that's interesting. That is actually probably one of the most common things that I hear about habits. So it takes you 21 days. You hear
Yeah.
a lot of times people say, no, you just do this for 21 days and, you're going to have the habit down pat. And it's so interesting because it's definitely not 21 days. And I was actually looking up, the study that came out of, I'm actually looking at my notes, the University College in London. So they did this study on habits, and what they found, there's like a range. I've got my pencil even, right? They've got a range of how long it takes for a habit to become like more natural. And the range is anywhere from 18 to 254 days. But the
Wow.
average is 66 days. Now they talk about how, depending on the habit, like how intricate it is, maybe how much of a difference it is for someone who's trying to incorporate it into their life. If it's something like that, then obviously it would take a lot longer than the 66 days, that average. That's why close to a year for some of these, people, these participants in the study. And then if it's maybe it's like a more easy habit, maybe it's like, I don't want to say the high five is necessarily easy, but it's a lot easier to, let's say after I brush my teeth to high five myself. That's easier than, let's say, if I was trying to learn a brand new whole, like nutrition, method or something like that. It'd be a lot different. So you can see how something like that might take 18 days or, not as long. But I think the key thing here for people who are listening in is that if the average time it takes to form a habit to become natural is 66 days of consistent behavior, right? I think that it gives us a realistic check, kind of like gut check to say if are we actually giving ourselves enough time and actually a chance to see if this is something that we can actually stick to or that we can actually incorporate, and then have like realistic expectations of like you're saying, like you kind of know that you, like with the high five thing, like you didn't do it long enough to really know if you could keep doing it over and over. And I think that's like a realistic and a true answer to that. Because I think a lot of people, especially with health, especially with weight loss, many times, people aren't giving themselves enough time and enough credit to really try something out and really put their best foot forward every day. It's like, they feel like if they can't be perfect, that they're just not cut out for it or something. And that's so not true, untrue.
Definitely. And especially too, I mean, something that I have heard, I forgot where I heard it, but it was like, if you miss a day, you know what I mean? Like if you're on a habit, right? And you're like 7 days in, and then like you miss a day of say, high-fiving yourself in the mirror, and then you're just like automatically discouraged, and you're just like, oh, well, I messed that one up. And then you just stop completely.
Yes.
It's like, you need to give yourself grace to know that's like, okay, you know what? That's okay. I'll pick it right back up tomorrow. Too many people just give up way too easily.
Oh,
And then,
man.
especially when they're not seeing results. That's probably why I freaking stopped. Right. Like I was I was doing it and I was like, I don't know if I really see the result. And so I just stopped. But it's like same thing. I stopped. I can literally just pick it right back up. But definitely consistency is key. If you stop for like months, okay, that's different. If you stop for weeks, that's different.
Right.
But definitely give yourself some grace if you're trying to build a habit and you kind of miss a day or two. You can literally just it's more beneficial to just pick right back up clearly than just like quitting altogether.
Yep. And along those lines, I love that because it's not about being perfect, but a lot of us expect perfection from ourselves, right? And like you said, okay, if I'm not perfect, that means I'll just throw it, kind of like let it go. Which is the point I wanted to make, is that not only to about the whole perfection thing, is like the whole rollover effect. And what I mean is that sometimes people will think, okay, well, I didn't do this habit today, so tomorrow I'll do it twice. For example, let's say for like a workout, I'm going to work out. Let's say the goal is I'm going to work out 4 times this week. And like a certain day comes, you don't get your workout in. So then when the next day comes around, people will say, you know what, I'll do a double. That way I can catch up for the one that I missed. I'll do a double and I'll make up for it. And then the next day comes and you miss that. You keep feeling like you want to make up. No, that's like another setup for kind of like failure, because it becomes so overwhelming to try to catch up, when really I think the optimal way to deal with that is, like you said, just let it go. It's not about being perfect. Just let it go. And then tomorrow's a new start. Just pick back up where you left off, and don't try to like carry over and do the whole makeup game. That's a big one too.
Definitely. Speaking of no one's perfect, what are some bad habits that you have? Because
Right.
we're not perfect over here, and we
No.
don't try to be. So what are some like bad habits that you have?
Oh man. Okay. So bad habits. And I feel like I want to give here with something with meat, right? Not just like, I pull my hair or something like that. I pull my split ends or something like that,
Yeah.
something like that. No, I would say probably one of my worst things that I do is that, it's ironic, right? Because this is something I like to coach my people to do, but is I have a really hard time taking time for myself. It is very hard for me. I think a lot of times it's because I'm driven a certain way and I feel like I have to just go, that it's hard for me when I stop, or I should say when I stop and I'm not doing those things and I'm not feeling like I'm being productive, I feel guilty. So it's a really bad habit that I've been trying to work on. I've been really trying to like carve out, like, okay, on this day, like on a Sunday, Sundays are made or, designed to kind of help me, or I can use a Sunday to help me kind of recuperate and recover and re-energize and all that stuff. And I feel so guilty, doing that.
Mhm.
I literally have to make myself like stop and take a moment for myself, because if I don't, and this has happened, this is okay. It is a bad habit is, then I get burnt out and I get frustrated and I I just like spiral down, and it's my own doing every single damn time.
Yeah. No, I can totally see that because your work ethic is so amazing. And you're always doing stuff. She's always like sending me stuff. And I'm like, damn girl, how do you even find the time to do that? Like I did like 3 clients today and I'm exhausted.
And it's not something like I'm trying to like be proud of it, but it's almost comical too, because literally today I sent out some messages, and I got a comment like that, like, oh my God, like who it was actually Nikki. It was actually
Okay.
Nikki. She was like, yeah, she's like, I feel so bad. Like I've been so out of the loop. Like, how do you keep up with doing all this? She's saying this to me. And in my head, I'm thinking, girl, like, cause it was just Sunday, yesterday. And I'm thinking, I felt like I was such a sloth yesterday. I was already beating myself up in my head. Like, I'm behind the 8 ball. I have so much to do. I took too much time, off yesterday. And when she said that, it was like it was like a slap, of reality
Right.
in my head. Like, oh my God, chill. It's
Yeah.
okay to just take the day. In fact, it wasn't even the full day. It was like an afternoon to not look at your social media, not look at your website, and not look at, client stuff and what you can do to, XYZ, all those things that are always swirling in my head. I totally caught myself today, like today, in that bad habit.
Yeah. And you know what's so funny is something I saw earlier where they were trying to take it to like the Supreme Court of doing the 4-day work week in the United
Oh,
States. And I'm like, but I work like 6 days. What about that?
yeah.
I work way more than 4 days. Like what? I mean,
Yeah.
there's maybe some weeks where it's slow where I am working 4 days, like
Mhm.
there's days or there's weeks like that. But I was like, what? I was like,
I know.
4 days? I would love to just work 4 days.
I know. And, part of it too is that I actually really love what I do. I mean, there's parts of it that it's mundane and it's challenging and it's hard to always be creative. I think that part's a struggle. So, I will kind of push myself through that. But otherwise, I really love what I do. And so sometimes it gets hard to like differentiate between like really what work is.
Mhm.
And usually I don't see that until I'm burnt out, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
burnt out and just like, oh my God, I just need, like David needs to go take me to like a drive to the beach or something like that to like get my head straight, because I'm just spent.
Yeah.
And so that is a bad habit that I've been working on big time.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
What's a bad one?
I mean, I definitely do that. I definitely do that where I do feel guilty if I am like relaxing too much because I'm not gonna lie, like there are some like I have like lazy tendencies, you
Oh,
know?
is that your bad habit, the lazy?
Kinda. I mean, but it's like there's definitely times where I'm like, okay, I know there's things that I need to be doing, but I'm tired. I just feel like I'm
Mhm.
tired all the time. But I'm like, I'm tired. Um, and I have like that anxiety feeling that even when I try to relax, I'm thinking about all the things that I need to be doing. That's like really bad. But then
Yeah.
there are times, especially Sundays, where I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to freaking lay in bed with my cup of coffee and I'm going to watch a show till freaking 12 p.m. I don't even
Hmm.
care. I need to recharge
Yeah.
because I do work hard and I feel like what I do is very physically and mentally exhausting.
Yeah.
So there are times where I'm like, no, I need this and I don't feel
Yeah.
guilty. And then there's times where, I mean, it's like, Wednesday and I get off early and then I go and I just be lazy. Like, no, you need to take that time to,
Yeah.
do something better. But I mean, okay. I mean, I have bad habits. Um, something that I actually wanted to talk about where it was a bad habit that I had that I actually switched it into a good habit by doing something completely different. So for me, I feel like whenever you're trying to kick like a bad habit, it's like you still have that urge to like want to do like something like that, whatever it is. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, like my bad habit was always like at the end of the day, I always like I get in bed and I like watch my show. And then I like to like I'm a bored eater. Like whenever I'm bored, I like to snack on
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So I always had like a not like a midnight snack, but like a late night snack.
Mm-hmm.
And my jam is white cheddar Cheez-Its. I don't know.
Oh,
I just love them. I love them. So I would, but I mean, at least I would go in the kitchen. I would get a little like snack bag and then I would put some Cheez-Its in there. So it's not like I was like eating the entire box.
uh-huh.
I would like limit myself to some, but I'm like, gosh, I really need to like get out of the habit of doing that. Right.
Yeah.
But then I also knew that I wanted to get in the habit of flossing and brushing my teeth every night.
Uh-huh.
Right. So I was like not good with that. So it's like I was eating Cheez-Its and then I was going to bed with like Cheez-Its all up in my teeth, like gross. Right. So I switched the habit. Like whenever I had that feeling of when I'm like, oh, I want some Cheez-Its, like I would walk out of the bedroom and then I go, and then I just go into the bathroom. Right. So I
Brush
would
your
go into the
teeth.
bathroom, I would floss my teeth, I would brush my teeth. And then after that, it's like, you don't want to like ruin your like good teeth with like, even anything to drink besides
Yeah.
water.
Right.
So I definitely got into the habit of doing that where, I mean, I was like, I'm not going to lie. I've slipped up. I have like 16 boxes of freaking Girl Scout cookies in my house right now. So there's times where at nighttime I'm like, ooh, I should get a couple cookies, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
it's like, ugh, gross. So I go and I brush my teeth. But yeah, so that was definitely a bad habit that I've had.
That's funny.
But
I,
I totally switched it. I feel like it's really important that if you have a habit that you're trying to kick,
mm-hmm.
switching it with something else
Mm-hmm.
is good, right? So like another thing that I do is like I make a little drink at the end of the night, right? But I kind of want to see how it feels not having a drink. Like not, I mean, I'm not like an
Mm-hmm.
alcoholic or anything. I don't have a problem, right? But it's like that's kind of like my little treat. And I'm like, you know what? I am tired a lot. And sometimes I
Yeah.
kind of do feel a little mentally foggy. And I know it's just one drink, right? But
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, I literally just decided this like today, like this, like, you know what? I think I'm gonna stop, like drinking that drink at the very end of the night. So
Mhm.
decided that instead of that, I'm gonna have some like nighttime tea,
Mhm.
something to where I'm still holding my little drink and I'm drinking something.
Yep.
So, because I know that if I'm like sitting there and I'm like, gosh, I want that, I want a drink, I go in there and I, instead of make a, wine or whatever, I just
Yeah.
make my tea. So I think that that's really important because otherwise people get like, if you have that habit of like doing something and then you feel like you need to do something, try and figure out what else you can replace it with that's better.
Mhm.
So I think
That's
that,
like, girl, that's like part of coaching right there. I mean,
yeah.
seriously, like the whole habit swap out. It's really tuning in or like really becoming aware of what it is that that particular behavior is doing for you. So if let's say, like if you were my client, or I've had so many clients with the same type of thing, they had this ritual at night, whether it was like, having some kind of cocktail. Most of the times it was some kind of like after dinner, like really indulgent snack that they were trying to kick that habit. But really, what's interesting is when you talk to people, most of the times that habit that they're doing, there's some kind of thing that like a feeling that it's creating for them, whether it's like comfort, or if let's say they have a very stressful job, they come home and that's like their way to decompress, like to almost, I want to say like award themselves or reward themselves for like a day, a job well done. I mean, it's kind of, that could be part of it, but really it's like they're, how they decompress, how they get like control again, how they feel safe and comfortable, and they can breathe again. And a lot of times it's food, like people who do use food for comfort. Then it's the idea there, like you're saying, is finding, okay, well, what is something else I can do that also makes me feel comforted? Could it be literally just a swap out of a beverage, like you're like you said, some kind of tea? Or could it be like a bath? Could it be, maybe it's reading? I had a client who really loved reading and realized that she wasn't reading anymore, and so she swapped out her like eating for curling up on her favorite chair with like a blanket and her book. And that was something that she was able to kind of find that same kind of like emotional feeling, and then didn't necessarily need the food. I'm like, because like you said, a lot of times it's not even that if it's food, it's not even that you're even hungry. It's just like this ritual, right? Like, and you get so kind of hooked on it. So
It's a habit.
that was a great tip to kind of do the swap out. But then, like you said, really think about whatever it is that you're swapping it with has to really kind of help you feel those same feelings that the other thing did. Otherwise, if it doesn't and it doesn't help, you're going to go back to the old because it's like, this isn't so good. I'm going to go back to the real deal.
Yeah. And making sure that it's like beneficial for you. It's like, oh, I want to stop
Mhm.
eating sugar. So instead of cookies, I'm going to eat chips. Like, no.
That's true.
Yeah. And if you do want to have a snack, maybe switch it out for something that's healthier. If you feel
Yeah.
like you need to munch on something instead of having chips, have,
Yeah.
hummus or something. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, what do you think as far as like I mean, we're kind of talking about it already, but what are some kind of like tips as far as like that you've used for you? I mean, I know you just mentioned this one about the swap out, but what are some other like whether it's tips or things that you've done that you think would help other people when they're trying to incorporate a new habit or maybe even break an old one?
Well, I know we've talked about this before, maybe not in the podcast, but I know that we have talked about it before because
Mhm.
you had mentioned it like earlier with doing the high five habit is
Oh,
habit
yeah.
stacking
Hmm.
is really good to do. It's like something that you want to incorporate in your daily routine
Hmm.
that you can stack it on to something that you already do, like
Hmm.
brushing your teeth every morning
Hmm.
or making your coffee every morning. It's like you have that water right before you have your coffee. So
Yep.
it's like, that you're going to have coffee. So just stack that, like stack
Hmm.
drinking water with drinking your coffee. So I
Yeah.
think that that's something that you can do because it's like sometimes it's like you're like, oh shit, I totally forgot to do that, or I didn't remember to do that. And it's like when you're stacking it on top of something that you don't even have to think to remember to do
Hmm.
it. I think that that's something that is a good tip that people can just if you want to incorporate it in your daily
Yeah.
routine, just add it on to something that you do daily.
Yeah, that's a good one. I know a lot of people who, whether it's like prescription medication or maybe they have like a supplement that they want to take every morning, they do that. They'll put it next to their water or something that they know they do every single day that they don't miss. That's a good one. I like that habit stacking. I think another one that really helps people is to track it, especially if it's at the beginning, whether it's in your journal or you have like a calendar, and whether it's like exercising or whatever it might be that you're trying to add on is to track it, because if you don't track it, then you lose count, and we start making up things in our head, as far as like how good we're doing with respect to this new habit. A lot of times, there's actually a study, and I can't quote it off the top of my head, but I know it exists. There was a study where they looked at people who journaled, and they're basically how they progressed through the whole weight loss journey. And it was so interesting because they actually had one group of people journal not only just what they ate, but then also their exercise, and they had the other group not. And it was so interesting because what they found was that the people who did not journal, they overestimated how much they exercised. So whether it was the length of exercise or even the days, how many days they exercised, they overestimated, and they underestimated how much they ate, which is so true because a lot of times when I have clients who they feel like they're falling off, one of the first things I ask them is, so what's your journal look like? And they're like, oh, I haven't been keeping a journal. So, that's one of the first things we'll go back and like, okay, start tracking again, because when the things that you track are the things that'll get done. And then vice versa, right? The things you don't track, especially if it's like a new habit you're trying to incorporate, it's not going to happen, or it's very likely not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's really good because um I do that in my schedule even. Like I'll
Mhm.
write it down in my schedule if there's something that I want to like I had a really bad habit of calling my dad, right? So like my dad lives up north in Northern California, and it's like we don't talk very often, like we're not super close. So
Mhm.
but I wanted to make a habit of like calling him just to check in, see how he's doing, see how my grandpa's doing cuz he
Mhm.
lives with my grandpa. My grandpa's like 90 years old.
Oh my
So
God.
like every single week I would write it in my schedule to remind myself like call dad. So
Yeah.
that way I can just like get into the habit of doing it because right, if you're in the habit of doing it, it's almost like excuse me. It's almost Like you don't even have to think about it to do it.
Yep. Becomes
So
natural.
that's an actual habit, is like you don't even have to think about it. Like
Yep.
cleaning my salon before I leave at the end of the day, I don't even have to think about it. It's
Mhm.
like I go through my routines of I gather all the towels and then I wipe down my chair and then I wipe
Yep.
down the mat at the bottom. I wipe down the
Mhm.
shampoo bowl. I wipe down the countertop in the back. I wipe down the countertop by the,
Yeah.
the coffee maker. I make sure that all the towels are put away. It's just like
Yep.
a routine that I don't even have to think about. I will literally be late for something. I will
Girl.
literally be late to go to dinner and I have to do it. I just have to because
It's
it's
your
such
system.
yeah.
It's your like end of the day, close down the shop salon system,
Yeah.
right?
No, it's the same thing when I walk in. It's like I walk in, I turn on the light, I open my blinds, I turn on like all the other light. There's like
Mhm.
four other lights that I have to turn on. I have to turn on the TV to the same exact TV show every single time. I
Yeah.
I
Heart
turn
of
on
Dixie?
it's Heart of Dixie. Exactly. It's like I go through that whole routine to set
Mhm.
myself up for the day. I get set up for my client. I get out 3 clips for every client. I get out my nicely folded cape. I get out a nicely folded towel, put it there. I get
Right.
out my foiling comb or whatever it is that I'm going to be
Mhm.
using. And it's like, I think I've said this before. Do not come early to your appointment because I need that time. Otherwise, it just throws me off completely. I'm
You're gonna
such
throw
a
the
routine
yeah, you're gonna throw
person.
the hair clips at them.
Yes. I'm like, no, leave. You need to leave.
Or you're gonna be in jail.
Yes.
Okay, but that sets you up for very successful like client experience, right? It,
Yes.
and so
Just
when you think about like if someone who's trying to like change something in their habit or trying to incorporate something new, they're trying to level up that whole system of them, and they, like your system of like closing up or starting up for the day. You have like this whole system in place that's made up of all these like regular things, like habits you do. Doesn't It's like you don't have to think about it, you just do it, but it sets you up for your success.
yeah.
And so, like when we talk about with our listeners or listening into about how to incorporate, habits or the things to think about, that's the place you want to get to, right? Where you're doing these things, these habits, these behaviors to the point where it feels so natural, it just kind of happens. And that it is okay and it is expected that at first it's not going to feel natural. You're going to feel like you have to kind of force yourself to do it. Because remember, the studies show that it's not 21 days, it's more like 66 and maybe even more days than that it actually takes for that a behavior to become a habit. So don't sell yourself short, don't give up too soon, right? And think that, oh, I just can't do this. If you miss a day or if you miss a couple days, whatever, just, don't carry it over. Don't do the whole rollover effect. Just start fresh and just keep it going. Just, work on that consistency, work on that muscle. Like it's like I said, it's like a muscle. We just have to train it and get used to it. And then pretty soon we'll be all opening our shop like you do with all the lights and everything, right?
Right. I was actually going to make a video. I was going to make a video and post it on social media about like my morning routine of coming into the salon, right?
You should.
I should.
It's a
Yeah.
good one. And I think like I would say another thing that I'd want to share on top of like tracking progress, which I believe is very important. I think that oftentimes it's helpful to be accountable to someone. If it is something like, something that obviously you're really wanting to change, I mean, I know some habits are maybe not as like big or maybe not as something that you necessarily need to be accountable to someone with. But if it is something that is like a bigger change, whether it's a health change, or maybe you're trying to, maybe you're working on a new career or something like that, or, whatever kind of big goal that you might have, being accountable to someone is key. Because I think that will keep us on track too. And it doesn't necessarily have to be, like someone who's doing the same thing as you. They don't have to be doing the same thing. They just have to know how important it is to you, and that you're going to keep them, or this person can help you stay accountable to whatever it is that you're trying to do, whether it's like certain milestones you want to get to, or I want to go through 2 solid weeks of exercise and I'll check in with you and let you know how I do, type of thing. I think it's really important to have outside support and outside eyes that you can be okay with being held accountable. You know what I mean? Because sometimes people don't like hearing that their shit stinks. And I
For
think
sure.
if you're going to really be successful at incorporating a new habit and leveling up your own game, I think you have to be able to hear when your shit stinks, and don't just be surrounded by yes people who are going to kind of tell you everything's cool, and awesome when it's not, right? So I think that's a really a key thing that needs to be in the equation to help you succeed too.
Yeah, especially if you know that you are the type of person where, you start setting habits and then you always break them, So if you're
Yeah.
like someone who sets like, the New Year's resolutions or whatever,
Hmm.
you could just ask your mom, ask your sister, ask your friend, like, ask someone to be like, hey, can you do like a daily check-in just to make sure that I did this?
Yeah.
I definitely think that that's like being held accountable for sure. Is
It's
a
a yeah, it's a big one. It helps me. I even think like like when we have our own meetings and stuff like that, like like having two people when we're working on a project, we have two sets of eyes looking at it. And even sometimes too, it might be something that I just miss or maybe you miss, right? And so it kind of helps us, collectively have a just like an overall better result. And I think that when we can let go of maybe feeling like we have to be perfect, and then being okay with hearing, hey, maybe if you try this, this will work a little bit better. Or what if, what about this? Or whatever it might be, then we actually can like really level up our game. I mean, I would have to say that's something in my lifetime, and allowing people to like my inner circle, allowing that kind of feedback and welcoming that feedback about me and my own performance and things like that. That has helped me big time for sure, for sure. And
definitely.
it's not easy, right? It's not easy to hear like when you're, you know, I don't want to say not perfect, but when that sometimes you have to hear some constructive criticism about things that you can do better. Sometimes it's hard to take.
Definitely. And I think something also too that I think people sometimes have to do, because it's like when you're starting a new habit and you almost
Mhm.
feel like you're like for me, like if I said that like, okay, I wanted to get up early every morning at 6 a.m., right? But I've been telling myself and other people like I'm just not a morning person. And
Mhm.
it's like, if you keep saying like I'm just not a morning person, you're not going to be a morning person. So you need
Yeah.
to kind of reverse that and stop telling yourself, "Oh, I'm just not a morning person." It's
Mm.
like it's almost like you have to build like an alter ego. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you have to like, if you're just getting into working out and you're not comfortable with it and you still don't really know what you're doing, and like you're getting ready and you're going to the gym and you're like, crap, I don't really know what I'm doing. You have to literally just be like, okay, you know what? I am a girl freaking boss in the gym. Like I got this. It's
Mhm.
like sometimes it's like if you have to just build some kind of alter ego so that way you can show up and build those habits that you want as
Mhm.
this person that you want to be.
Right.
I think that sometimes I have to do that. Honestly,
Yeah.
there's days where I'm just like, I don't feel very, extroverted. I'm naturally very introverted,
Mhm.
but I work with people all day. I have a podcast where it's like I have to be
Yeah.
100% like on my game, right? And even when I have clients and I have a new client sitting in my chair and I'm doing the consultation, I have to be this extroverted, take control, talk. I have to be like 100%. And it's almost like I have to just like literally just be like, okay, Clarissa, the introverted Clarissa, you need to
Yeah.
just go to the side, okay? And then this other person kind of comes out. And it's like what do people say? How they talk about like your customer service voice?
What do you mean?
Like it's like when I used to call people
Oh,
at my last salon and I would like remind them about their appointment. I'd be like, "Hi, Susan. I am just calling to remind you about your appointment tomorrow at 12 o'clock. If you need to cancel or reschedule, go ahead and give us a call back." It's like it was like this routine, and it's like what the hell is that? And I'm
who
like,
is that?
customer service voice,
Oh, there you go. I
right?
think that's true. It's like even Beyonce, didn't she have that alter ego? Was it Sasha Fierce? That was like her alter ego.
Kobe has an
Yeah.
alter ego. I mean, like there's so many people that they have these alter egos that they show up as a completely different person.
Yeah. I'm telling you, as a competitor too, this was something. It's so funny. I'll keep this story short. The story short. So, as a competitor, going on stage in a freaking G-string bikini, that is not like the natural thing for me to do. And I had my version of like the Sasha Fierce. Like I remember being like before you go on stage, there's like usually there's steps to go up, and I'd be on like when I'd get to the steps when there's like 5 steps. I'd get to the first step. I remember doing this. I'd be like, the breathing, like the slow breathing, deep breaths in and out. And in my head, I'd be thinking this: show up and show out, show up and just show out. Total like the Sasha Fierce, like just getting that like attitude every step. Like I'd take one more step up, and then right when I was on the last step to take my spot, center stage, I would be in that totally different headspace of this like this extroverted, just more of a performance type BK, and I remember I'd get off the stage and I'd come, around, be backstage, and be like, oh shit.
Right. You're like,
I
oh
just
gosh,
did
I
that.
can't believe
Yeah,
I just did that.
exactly. So yeah, I love that. I love it. Sometimes you have to picture that future self, whoever that is, kind of picture that person and then just kind of step into that a little bit early, right? And then just say,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to show up and show out. Just
That's
knock
kind of,
out this habit.
yeah, that's kind of what I had to do. Like when I did, my little modeling
Mhm.
stuff, I was not comfortable in front of the camera at all. Right. But I had to be, and I had to like show up as a different person. So
Yeah.
I even like sometimes like something as little as like putting on some music,
Hmm.
putting on some like, I don't know, jams.
Get into it. Like just get
Yeah.
like work yourself up. Yeah, whatever that is. Cause like you said, if it's whether it's a workout or it's something like that, if you're feeling like you have to get hyped up into it, yeah, turn your music on or have whatever your Pandora on or something like that, whatever, and then just get into that mood of what that future self looks like for you, and then just step into that and just own it. Yeah,
Definitely.
own it. I don't know. Is there anything else, like any last words that you would like to share about habits, good ones, bad ones, you
Um,
know, things that make it stick? Any tips or anything like that?
I mean,
Outgoing,
I
last minute
think just
tips?
I think just the biggest thing, just kind of going back to what I said in the very beginning is you just want to show up for yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, and you want to like make your future self proud. So it's like whether it's making your bed so that way you can come home and you can come into your room and you can be like, wow, like this looks great.
Hmm.
And just putting yourself in like a better mood by, making your space clean, doing the things that you need to do. You need to be prepared in order to
Mm,
make these habits easier for you to do.
yeah.
So definitely just show up for yourself and just, know that you're worth it. I
Hmm.
think that's the biggest thing that I wanted to kind of get across in this
Yeah. I
episode.
like that one. I almost would say I would like to just second that, showing up for yourself. I think that so often we put our own needs or maybe things that we want to do for ourselves aside for maybe a lot of the other things that we're doing in life because we're all juggling a lot of plates, and we don't have just an unlimited amount of time and resources to do the things that we want to do. And so a lot of times I think that we take the short end of the stick. And so I think you're like you said, if it's really important, and it's something that you really want, you really do have to show up for yourself. And I think that maybe just a little add-on would be, do not expect perfection from yourself either. Be realistic. Know that you're not going to be perfect, but that if you can be consistently, here's one: if you can be consistently, um, just show up consistently versus focusing on the perfection part, then you've got a great start. Just do that. Just show up for yourself, like you said. Don't worry about being perfect. And just go for it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to recap the things that we went over. So we went
Yeah.
over habit stacking. So you
Hmm.
want to add your habit onto something that you're already doing, daily, or
Yep.
you can switch, swap habits, swap a bad habit for a good habit. You
Hmm.
want to be held accountable by people. You want
Hmm.
to journal and keep
Yep.
track. What was another thing?
Show up for yourself.
So yeah, you want to show up for yourself. And I think just staying consistent
Yep.
is
Staying consistent.
is a big thing.
Nice wrap up, Miss Clarissa. That was just like, a seasoned pro.
Yeah. Even though I'm not, I'm like literally gonna go clean out my car after this because I'm like, ugh, my car is so dirty. I actually got into the habit of every time I pumped gas, I would like leave the pump in and then I would go through my car and I would throw out all the trash. Clearly, I
Oh,
haven't gotten gas in a while because my car is filthy. We're
so
not
you
perfect.
can go work on your habits right now.
Yeah. So I think that's good. Like realizing you're not perfect. If
Yep.
you miss a day, you're fine. You guys will be fine. Everything
Yep.
will be fine. Just show up for yourself and
Yeah.
make it
So
happen.
yeah, so you can tell me, yeah, you'll be fine. I
Yeah.
needed to hear that too, because yeah, as of this morning, I was not feeling like I was going to be fine. So there you have it. There's
Yes.
some truth right there. I
Everything
was
will
struggling.
be okay. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, everyone. So I hope you guys just got so much help and tips and useful information from this episode. We, as always, love sharing all these things with you. We would love for you to like, subscribe, share, hit the little bell if you catch this on YouTube so that you can be notified for a new episode because we're dropping new episodes every Monday and we definitely don't want you to miss out. So with that, thank you so much for listening in, and we can't wait to catch you on the next one. So until then, everyone, we are out.
Bye.
Bye.